Alright guys, welcome to VALORANT News. The drama continues going into Masters Toronto. This time it's MIBR versus Team Heretics. Frods, the coach of MIBR, gives his perspective on Heretics' recent drama as far as he sees it, criticising Aspas and many other things they've done recently. That drama is getting really heated going into the big tournament, especially if these two teams match up against one another. Drama elsewhere as well. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Chaos going on yesterday. We're going to start here with a couple of things in ranked and elsewhere. Not sure how legit this is, but Nerve did tweet this out. You recently reported 1-of-1 Bray. Now, you guys probably will know the 1-of-1 Bray name anyway, hashtag demon, because whether it's the same guy or not is a different question. But 1-of-1 Bray was the guy who was rumoured anyway to be getting involved with the match-fixing stuff in Tier 2, right? Like, he was the one beefing Sean Gares and saying that, well, Sean Gares was kind of implying, and 1-of-1 Bray, according to the DMs that we saw leaked, had definitely reached out to players and said, hey, if you maybe play suboptimally, then maybe I'll give you a little bit of money. And that was going on. Now, 1-of-1 Bray said that, well, yeah, okay, maybe I said a couple of those things, but I never actually did it. And, you know, where the information or the evidence lies on that is a different question. Riot continue to do their investigations, we believe. There's not been many updates on the match-fixing stuff now in some time. So I'm not really sure where this is going to go next, but I guess stay tuned for anything to do with the match-fixing stuff because it's probably not over yet, right? I mean, we've had some stories either way. We've had people say that, well, Sean Gares is maybe right on this, wrong on that. We've had teams very much say that, you know, we don't believe that our players are involved in this type of stuff, like the whole Blue Otter situation. So, yeah, it's a big drama that continues behind the scenes as well. Inspire, Baby J, was talking about the state of ranked as well because, of course, you know, we're going to talk about issues and drama with regard to the actual big tournament, but the players aren't very happy about the state of the game in general. Can't even queue with the face of the game without getting our matches thrown for crypto. And not a single Riot employee is tuned in to just insta-ban them or refunds at RR. Now, you know, very interesting, right? This has been a big issue for some time. I know that many of the kind of streamers have talked about this to say, well, you know, should we not just have someone watching the stream and if there's anything dodgy happening, then they can deal with it ASAP. And if they do, then it disincentivizes it, right? Because, you know, usually these crypto throwers, if they do or do not happen, I know that there's debate because, you know, people would always look at Shazam and say, oh, well, he's just paranoid that he thinks he's getting stream sniped. And okay, sometimes maybe he was paranoid, but sometimes it was actually happening, right? And we see that rather a lot. And there is a theory that if you had somebody in there to take action immediately from the Riot Games side, then it would at least disincentivize this action happening on these, you know, pro streamers' games. But that's not what Riot seem to want to do at the moment. Now, changes for Fnatic, a good one potentially. They're bringing in Comet as an analyst to support their team. Fnatic, of course, they won the EMEA Championship. They go in as the favourites from that particular region. And of course, one of the big favourites now from the entire tournament. Pretty remarkable how, you know, Crashies came in. They've done a rather good job. I don't really know what I'm clicking on here. Here we go. Get rid of that stupid blue thing on the screen. And here are the boys at the top of the CN Tower enjoying, well, presumably a rather beautiful meal ahead of their tournament. So, look, they're treating themselves well. No doubt about that. They've had a good time over the last few days. But now it's time to win. And Fnatic are, interestingly enough, the oldest team in the league, largely helped by Boaster, who is 30. So he drags up. I mean, it's funny, right? He drags, so he's not even that old. Certainly not in an esports context, really. You look at, not in a sports context, but even in an esports context, you look at Counter-Strike, 30 is, you know, older than average, but not exactly old. But anyway, Fnatic, still young team outside of Boaster. Generally, they average about 24.2. Sentinels are 23.6 on average. RRQ 23.5. Gen.G 23.4. Is there a correlation between the best teams being a little bit older and more experienced? You know, I would say possibly, you could argue it. I think it would also be a surprise if there wasn't. I know that Edwin, of course, really young team, they won champs last year. But BLG averaged 21, MIBR as well, 21.1, Wolves, Liquid, or Heretics, Liquid, all in a pretty similar category here. But there is an argument to say that having somebody on the team with a few more years experience, and like, if I had to compare these top 6 teams to the bottom 6 teams, you know, I'm taking the bottom 6. I'm taking the oldies. Obviously, they're not old, right? Like, I'm older than all of these guys, but most of these guys anyway. Certainly, I'm older than all of these average ages. 23 is still very young, but, the point is that a couple more years' experience might well pay dividends in the long term. Juicy, the youngest player there, at, just 18 years, 0.6. So, presumably, like 7 months or whatever of age for Wolves, of course. And Wolves, a team that Sentinels will be watching out for when the tournament officially gets underway. PaperX, how are they going to get on this time? Because they've been considered a pretty young team, but, a year moves on, the team gets a year older. That's how it works. So, as PaperX say, they are, however, bringing another player. They are 3 days away from Masters Toronto. Actually 2 days and 6 hours until they play Heretics in their first round of the tournament. We'll discuss Heretics in a second. Now, their team is as follows. Mindfreak, Jing, Forsaken, Divide, something. Now, Patmen has been sitting around for a little bit of time, and there's been theories as to what they're going to do. There was a rumor that they were going to drop, was it Mindfreak for Patmen? Then there was talk that they were going to drop Jing for Patmen, but, none of those things happened. And for now, their most recent game where they beat DRX in the EWC qualifiers, this was their team of 5, and they've achieved good results with that team as of late. But Patmen is there. Jing tweets this out yesterday, NA ranked with Patmen and Mindfreak, twitch.tv, whatever, and so he's there, right? So Patmen is out there with the team, and Mindfreak is there, of course, as well. So anyway, those were the 3 that were involved in the discussion, right? Jing, Mindfreak, I think, and Patmen, as to, if there's going to be a 6-man roster kind of change here, those are the guys potentially at risk. But yeah, Patmen is out there with them, so that creates an interesting dynamic potentially for PaperX as we go into the weekends. Into your thoughts in the comment section below as ever, but let's talk about it, right? Because there's been some big drama going into the tournament, certainly on the MIBR versus Heretics side. We'll get into in a second. This is just a sneak peek here of the kind of the venue, the way that they're setting things up, ready to get things going in a couple of days' time. We've got to chuck the hard hat on here for this arena. And okay, things are going to change over the next couple of weeks as we get in from the Swiss stage into the actual playoffs and how everything is going to evolve over there. I think the tickets for this event pretty much sold out immediately, but yeah, this is all what it looks like, setting things up behind the scenes right now. It's all pretty cool to watch this unfold. When I've been to Call of Duty tournaments and stuff, you get there a couple of days early, you see how it's all going behind the scenes. This is where they're going to do some interview stuff. I know that some people have been looking at these chairs and saying, do they look comfortable? Do they not? I mean, you could argue where they've got them from. I don't think they look too bad at the end of the day. And yeah, they've got a few different areas here anyway, sneak peek behind the scenes for the time being, and then things are only going to get bigger and better over the coming weeks anyway. But here's Zellsis in Toronto at the Toronto sign, famously, and of course you've got the maple leaf here, so Zellsis said, got Leaf in the palm of my hand. Pretty good stuff, to be fair. Of course, Leaf, player for G2, who are maybe their biggest rivals, or certainly a big rival of them for this tournament, and if Sentinels want to win this tournament, it is possible that at some point they will have to beat G2 along the way, or certainly a team that happened to beat G2. Zellsis has also got up on top of the sign, on top of the Leaf, just to assert dominance, and now I'm sitting on the Leaf. Zellsis was arrested shortly after this. We're actually looking for a sub, and more than likely that did not happen, but Sensei, are we in trouble? This is the clip that I wanted to share, because going into this tournament, there is a bit of drama emerging between MIBR and Heretics. Now, this comes from the fact that Fraud, who's coach of MIBR, he's been around, several different teams over the last couple of years, including briefly Loud. But here he is tweeting a couple of days ago, flying out there, of course, to Toronto for the event, because MIBR, of course, qualified. He mentions how they are very excited to play Heretics if they can. He thinks they were disrespected by Heretics recently, and makes it very clear that if they have no respect for him and his team, he has no respect for them and their team, saying that these guys are terrible and that he's going to smash them, and that Benji Fishy, the Fortnite kid, is going to get exposed on the main stage.
Falando do aspas aí, certo? Você sente que existe alguma vontade sua de enfrentar esse time ou algum outro time durante o Masters aí?
Com certeza, todo mundo queria enfrentar esses ruins. Os caras só falam merda. Os caras estão fazendo clickbait ao cabra, e acho que isso é muito zoado, porque isso mostra que você não tem respeito, e se eles não vão respeitar a nós, não vamos respeitar a eles. Tá de boa, enfrentamos os caras e vamos ver como Fortnite entra nos jogos, sabe?
So this is the type of drama that we are here for. And I think this is what they were talking about here. So there was a video that Heretics did a little while ago. It's kind of like a classic, answer the question or eat the chicken wing, right? That's how it goes. And, well, he was asked the question, who's the most overrated player in the VCT? Now, we did get a couple of answers to this, one of which was Aspas. And Benji Fishy actually ate the wing, but then he said it anyway, but they kind of blurred it out. But, you know, based on what he said and the way that he said it, you know, people pretty sure that he meant Aspas, because he also basically said, you know, he's a beta and all this. And look, I think for many of these players, Aspas is incredible. I don't think anyone's really doubting that. But the point is that many players would say that, yeah, Aspas is great, sure, but you know, he plays in a certain way that makes his numbers look better than he actually is, right? Like, that's kind of an argument that some pros make, is that, okay, Aspas isn't bad, but, you know, overrated. You know, the argument is that, is Aspas the best player in the world? Like, you know, if you ask the community on that, they will probably say either yes or top 3 or top 2 or whatever. You know, the pros might say, well, you know, is he top 1 or is he more like top 5 or top 10? And in that case, is he overrated? Then maybe sure. Now, of course, that depends on your perspective, and I think that Aspas still deserves an awful lot of credit, and Frod certainly agrees, but as he says, if they're not going to respect us, we're not going to respect them. You know, hopefully we face them at the event, and we're going to take them down. Let's see how this Fortnite kid makes it work in the game. So, yeah, brilliant work from all involved, and hopefully this actually is what transpires at the tournament itself. Of course, quickly on, Loud, Frod's former team leader, is now their new head coach. So they've made it, I mean, you couldn't really get a better name, could you, as a coach of the team. So with any luck, that's going to work out for them. But they're, of course, making big changes. And at the end of the day, Aspas used to be over there. That's when they used to be good. He's gone to MIBR. MIBR weren't expected to really do that much, and Aspas has found a way to make this team very competitive indeed. So I think that probably says an awful lot about Aspas as a player, but very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.